Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's Monday, and that means it's time for the Wrestling Inc. Monday Night Raw after show. And have we got a show for you? Seth Rollins is getting attacked from behind. We've got Drew McIntyre saying us for his tag team, and Zoe Stark gets hit in the face by a chair thrown by her mentor. But before we get into all of that good stuff, let me introduce the team. I'm Jack Farmer, being joined by Jimmy Korderas and Justin LaBar. Justin, good to have you back. I mean, I guess you were here last Monday, but you weren't here on Wednesday?
Wednesday,
you missed
yes.
That.
And I won't be here this Wednesday either, so just the way it's working out. So thank you for covering me last Wednesday.
Taking time off, huh?
Well, I really wasn't. I don't so much to say as time off. I was even busier than I whatever. I wasn't sitting by the pool sipping a Mai Tai. Let me tell you that. Yeah, good to be here. Monday Night Raw, my favorite. Our Triple J, our last Triple J for a bit though, because I think we're gonna have some shuffling for a few weeks, but we'll make the most of it tonight as we talk about the Go Home Raw. As we head towards Payback here, and if you haven't heard it, it's the Steel City. If you didn't take the notes from Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, speaking of people taking time off and just lollygagging around, Jimmy Korderas, good to see you again.
Good to see you, and yeah, I will be taking some time off, and just from everything though, not just from here, but from the ref and rants and all that stuff. Just going to take a little break. I need some time with the family. Let's put it that way.
Family.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, don't start on the family.
No, but so enjoy Triple J while it's here. It might be a little bit of a break after this. But that said, everyone who's with us, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We got some news this week, and I just challenge everyone in the chat to guess what we're going to open talking about in the news here today. Reports. AEW is believed to have suspended CM Punk and Jack Perry through All Out. Brian Alvarez has reported that there is a, quote, belief within AEW that CM Punk and Jack Perry have been suspended after the two got into an alleged physical confrontation backstage during yesterday's pay-per-view. If true, the two will seemingly not be present for the company's next pay-per-view, All Out, taking place in this Sunday. Punk's absence will be especially notable as the show will take place at the United Center in Chicago, and both AEW Dynamite and Collision will take place in Chicago ahead of Sunday's event. There was apparently new information that happened during Raw that says that people are saying that Jack Perry did not throw the first punch, and that CM Punk has been saying that he hates AEW or hates this place, I guess, or I don't know the exact quote, but something along those lines. I'm a journalist, but Justin LaBar just can't catch a break, it seems like, here with CM Punk.
Can't catch a break. Yeah, the quote was he hates this place. It was this time last year when he got suspended the first time. Yeah. And here we are again, and last time it's like, again, it's management's not getting ahead of anything. They're constantly in react mode. They're constantly on the defense. When the whole fight happened after the media scrum, it was kind of a layup for Tony Khan to be able to suspend CM Punk, because CM Punk had injured himself badly in that match where he won the world title, so he was going to be out anyway. So it was almost kind of like an easy thing to do. I mean, props, kudos to do the right thing here. Okay, a suspension for another investigation, but this should have been stopped. The stuff with he and Perry apparently has been building for the last few weeks, as we've seen come to surface. Get ahead of this. Be a leader. Get ahead and stop it before it happens. Because now what's happened is the headlines from your record-breaking show have been totally stolen once again by something you're not making any money off of. And oh, by the way, it's going to cost you money. They're getting ready to turn around and do a residency here in Chicago. They're getting ready to do another pay-per-view a week after doing this massive stadium show, something we all were wondering how the hell they're going to pull off. Probably is going to be on the shoulders of CM Punk, because it is Chicago, because he is the real world champion, and then you have another world champion in MJF, so you could throw something that's a match that doesn't need one promo and it's there. You don't have to do any build for weeks or months, but you've just lost that now. So now you've just hurt business again. It's the common denominator. I'm not saying that other people aren't at fault in certain situations, but at some point, when do you stop and look around and go, is this worth it? Mm-hmm. Is this worth it?
I mean, that's always the question I have. And Jimmy, again, I said weeks ago, this is going into my Bash at the Beach, Montreal Screwjob list of things that I feel like I'm never going to fully understand what really happens. But Justin makes a good point. There is a common denominator through all of this. Regardless of whose fault it is. I mean, in your time, do you remember a situation where there was one person that seemed to be the focus of such a high percentage of drama in a company?
You know what? There's always been rumors about this person, like, for example, HBK, when he was going through his tough times, let's put it that way, and causing a little bit of a ruckus in the locker room, especially with someone by the name of Bret the Hitman Hart. And you have other names pop up, but I haven't heard of anybody getting this much heat. And I guess it's because there's so much, we get so much of a peek behind the curtain nowadays that it comes out more, if you know what I mean. And the thing that Justin said that is 100,000% correct is you had this weekend your biggest show in your company's history, and it was gaining some momentum. People were talking about this. It was the talk of the wrestling world. And the headlines for this entire weekend were stolen by this one altercation that happened backstage. That, like you said, Justin, shouldn't have happened, because this is the wrestling business. And to your point, to your question there, Jack, I have seen, not really witnessed, like, in person, certain things. I've seen little things, little hints here. I used to distance myself when I saw something brewing. Let's put it that way, because the further away from the skirmish you are, the less you can be a witness when it comes to any kind of court, whether it's wrestler's court or whatever you want to call it. But man, this is just, it's like you said, it's dominating the news cycle so much that something's got to be done. And you got some, like you said, Justin, take charge. You can't let the inmates run the asylum.
Yeah, go ahead, Justin.
No, and I was just going to add, I mean, and what good? I mean, Tony, they just launched Collision, and Collision, was sold, promoted and sold to Warner Brothers as CM Punk's the face of this show. We're just going to go ahead and say CM Punk's going to have the Saturday show. All of his friends can be on that show. Everybody he doesn't like is going to be on Wednesday. Well, now if you got to suspend him because you have to investigate this scenario, now you don't have him for Collision. Like, it's just there's nothing about it's good for business. It's not going to turn into a match that's going to sell pay-per-views or sell out arenas. So you're just wasting your time with a lot of drama.
And it definitely, I think of, so many people have gone back and forth and said, is this a work? Is this a shoot? Is this, they're all this stuff? And I triple down. If this is a work, then I hate it. This is horrible. There's nothing good about this at all. I don't think it is at this point. But Justin, to your point, like, you had what, depending on whose numbers you believe, the biggest wrestling show ever. And we're not talking about the biggest wrestling show of all time today. We should be talking about, I should be pulling up like the numbers about how much money they made, buy rates, something. I don't know, but none of that. It's this issue that seems to always be there. And
it even overshadowed the number that they threw out there, the 93,174 number of total attendance there. Did they really have to go there? It had to be one single solitary person more than the 93,173 at the Silverdome. It just, we know that in wrestling the numbers are fudged to some extent, but come on, man. And even that got overshadowed by this whole CM Punk situation.
Well, I think that's all good and fun, but that kind of stuff is good and fun to me because it doesn't hurt anybody. Nothing, whatever. You say it, whatever. People believe it, people don't believe it, whatever. It's a fun little deal. But like we said, this now I'm looking forward to Dynamite, not to see what happened because of All Out. I'm waiting to see is something, what's going on here? And I've said before, again, I don't know what's going on backstage. This is based off what I've read on the internet, which could be mean anything, but in any team sport, and wrestling's a team sport, I would say, you got to have a locker room together. It doesn't matter how good someone is. If you're the best player in the world, but everyone on your team hates you, or you're causing fights, it's just not going to work. You never hear about the Super Bowl team that hates each other. You never hear about the NBA champions that are like, oh yeah, we hate each other, can't stand each other. Like, you got to be able to work together, even if you don't love each other. But like, if you're getting in fights, like, that's a problem.
Yeah. Sorry to jump in here again, but you said something else too. There needs to be a locker room leader. Like, for example, in WWE and my time there, especially during the brand split in SmackDown, Taker was our locker room leader. And like I've said 100 times before, it's not because he made himself the leader. The locker room chose him as the leader. That's the way it was. So each brand had their locker room leader. It doesn't seem to be anybody as a locker room leader right now, except for, go ahead, Justin.
No, I agree. It doesn't seem like there's a locker room leader. I think the trouble is, one guy who's a veteran, who's been everywhere, done everything, Chris Jericho. Trouble is, Chris Jericho and CM Punk they're not best friends. So there is nobody in that locker room there's just nobody in the locker room that's there that or at least has stepped up to, that we can tell, that wants to lead, that everybody gets behind. There's a divide, there's a line in the sand any which way you go. Obviously the elite, they're not, they don't have Punk and the Punk camp on their side. We saw some spats leak out online with Jericho and Punk again and recent months, and it's just, there is not an Undertaker. There is nobody there that we can tell that is stepping up, that has that command. So it's just, I don't know. Again, Tony Khan is a passionate wrestling fan. He's got billion-dollar pockets. That's tremendous. But in traditional sports world, I'll tell you, be the billionaire owner. And if you're passionate about your promotion or your sports team, the analogy goes either way here, you can put millions and billions in, and that is you fulfilling your passion to set up your team or promotion in the best scenario to win. But what you need to do is you stay in the owner's box. You need to hire, you need to hire the GM or the booker and let them do the thing. You don't, if I had $1 billion, I'd be happy to be the owner of the Orioles or the Commanders or the Capitals. I know that I shouldn't be the GM because as a fan, I'm too attached to certain players, or I have certain stigmas here, whatever. You can't make rational business decisions. I just think that this is just a leadership problem. It starts at the top. Passion is all hell. Great for TK, but he has proven time and time again in this short span he can't control this.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. The whole thing is unfortunate. Hopefully it works out. I don't know what that means. I just know it feels like one person seems to be centered around it. And look, I know there are some people who are big CM Punk fans who will say, oh, well, it's because certain people leak things to the dirt sheets to try to sway opinion. And maybe that's true. But at the end of the day, something's wrong. Something's got to get fixed here, whatever the case is. So Shelbowski with a super chat here, by the way, says, Jimmy, wrestlers biting each other in all the companies is occurring. Is biting not against the rules? Never used to be a thing, and now it's overused.
Well, again, it's like a lot of things nowadays that I notice in wrestling. Biting, roll-up finishes. You can make a list of things that are overused in wrestling today. When someone bit someone in wrestling, it was a certain individual that would do it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like you would say, oh my goodness, I can't believe he's biting him. Now I go, oh, here he goes, he's biting him. You know what I mean? It's an unfortunate change in how things are operating today.
Yeah. Then we got Juan Castle saying with another super chat saying, if Jack confronted Punk, then Punk is on the right to defend himself. If Khan had any integrity, he would have fired Perry on the spot.
Juan, there's between Nick Hausman's House of Wrestling and Fightful and PW Torch, everything that's coming out, and some of the reports are noting this is information coming from Punk's camp, or this is Punk's side of the story. Even Punk's side of the story notes that Punk approached Perry. That obviously Perry fired the first shot that night by saying what he said to the camera about the glass and Crimea River. That's out in front of the cameras, but in terms of behind the cameras, it has become pretty clear in the accounts that Punk approached Perry, and that it's become clear in the accounts that there's become less confusion that Perry absolutely did not strike the first physical. Right. So just so that you know doesn't.
And again, I think we need to be careful about assuming we know what happened and who did what and everything like that. But also, I will say, based on the reports we've seen, it's hard for me to take Punk's side when I see him cutting promos on Hangman Adam Page not being able to move merchandise and taking shots at counterfeit bucks and then getting upset that someone took a shot at him live on TV. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Again, I try not to act like I know, because I don't know. I just know what people report. But at the same time, again, there's just a common denominator I see all the time. So,
and again, getting ahead of things. If you know there's problems, why put Jack Perry's match right before CM Punk's match? The match after is always waiting there, and the as WWE calls it, the gorilla position. I think AEW for a while called it the Dusty, but I don't know if they still do since Cody's not there. But I'll just say on standby. Right. This is part of being a leader and being ahead of things. If you're truly trying to keep people apart, then think about these kind of things. Mm-hmm. That's another thing. It just doesn't make any sense. Why would if you know something's brewing? But again, maybe if something's brewing, nothing has been done about it, and here we are.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm sure more will come out. I'm sure this isn't the end. We will have to see how it pays off. But I do think last thing on this is if CM Punk is not suspended through All Out and through Chicago, very interesting to see how the crowd reacts or what they do. I would imagine if they still sell pretty well, tickets still look normal, and the response is still average, that's a very bad sign for Punk. But if it's an empty arena and everyone hates everything, that's a good sign for Punk. So usually I don't really read too far into ticket sales and things like that, but this week might be kind of interesting if he's not there.
Maybe he's working us all to help the year-over-year numbers in his negotiating favor.
Maybe
3D chess, my friends.
There you go.
Then he's the smartest guy in the building. So
I might say that he's a pain in the ass and a common denominator. I never said he was dumb.
No, that's very true. And he's very good at what he does. Like, I mean, he's got some of the most loyal fans I think I've ever seen in pro wrestling. So
right, and like we were talking about here, he's dominated the news cycle. What is everybody talking about?
Yeah, they're not talking about Mercedes Moné being at an AEW event.
Yeah,
no,
he was not in the main event of the show, and that's all that we're talking about. CM Punk. So.
Exactly.
Yep. I do wonder if he was meant to. I thought he was going to come out at the end, and they were going to do the stare down, and like. That was going to be your main event of All Out.
That might have been the plan. As we've since learned, Punk left. He was gone before the show was over. So who knows? Maybe that was the plan.
Well, one thing, and this is the difference of why things like this are such a big deal, is because while one company's dealing with that, we have another company, WWE, and boy, am I going to get WWE Homer comments for that segue. But WWE is announcing, as we saw a commercial for it, a partnership with NFL. They're going to be having championship belts for each individual team. It looks like they're going to go for $550 a pop. Justin, I know you're a big football fan. Jimmy, you have a team as well. I'm a big Seahawks fan. Justin, this seems like a match made in heaven. They're going to make so much money on these things.
It's a big deal. It is, and it's a big deal because obviously, when you open up licensed partnerships like this, I mean, the NFL is the biggest business you can get. The NFL is so grand, it can't fail. It's so foolproof. You can't have one, and there's been some crazy rogue players. Antonio Brown comes to mind recently. You can't have a CM Punk situation in the NFL. No one person's going to tear. The NFL is bigger than any one player. It's a big deal for WWE. It's a big deal on perception. It's a big deal that WWE, even just 20 to 22 years ago, when they went public, And then 2 years later, Vince is launching the XFL to try to be this alternative. Even then, public perception is it's still wrestling, right? It's that fake stuff. It's lowbrow. It's niche. Obviously, they've come a long way. WWE especially leading the charge with the television deals they get with the mainstream. They did a thing on the late Bob Barker on the mainstream influence and crossover they've been able to do. But having a deal like this with the NFL, that is a huge win in perception of this is not your granddaddy's Southern wrestling. That's not what this is. This is a global juggernaut of live entertainment that is doing a partnership deal that, a wrestling belt. Everybody knows what a belt is. I mean, that's the champion. And they're doing a belt themed with NFL teams, NFL more legitimate to anybody. So it's just a huge perception win. And I don't know if it goes to Triple H or who the actual kudos, but kudos to whoever in WWE. And the fact that they started doing this thing in these last couple of years where every time somebody would win the World Series, Super Bowl, any of the major championships, any of the major sports here in the U.S., they would send them a custom WWE belt. And so that's a great little kind of organic swell that has now blossomed into this, what you said, Jack, is going to just make a ton of money in the merch lane.
Right. And Jimmy, to that point, one of the things we always talk about is how do you get the eyeballs of the people who aren't already fans? This is something that I know a lot of people who aren't wrestling fans, but they love football. And they, to Justin's point, they know what a championship belt is. And if they could get their team as a championship belt, that's an easy $550 that WWE is going to pocket. Well, there's costs involved, but you know what I mean.
Of course. No, I know exactly what you mean. And again, here we're talking about the business side of the business. They're making money and they're getting their name out. Their name's already out there. Let's put it that way. But to do something like this, the partnership with the NFL, and like Justin said, is absolutely huge. And yes, you're going to have those people out there that go, "Oh, come on, they're partnering up with those guys, the wrestlers and stuff like that." I think there are going to be more people who are not per se wrestling fans who are going to see these things, and they're going to see WWE superstars at events, probably presenting belts to teams and that sort of thing, and start going, what is this? Maybe I'll check this out and see what this is all about. Yeah, I heard that, and like you guys said, it's not your granddaddy's wrestling anymore. This is now a sports entertainment juggernaut. And as much as people out there don't like that terminology, that's exactly what it is. It is a variety show that caters to a vast majority of people, and doing this. And who knows, maybe this opens the door to other ventures like, let's say, the NHL, Major League Baseball, NBA. You don't know, especially now, because my old colleague Jackie Redmond being there at WWE, who also works at the NHL Network. There's a nice little connection there. Doors may be opening. You never know.
Yeah. No, but this is, like I said, it's one of those things where if a team goes to the Super Bowl, I can imagine all their fans buying it. I can imagine fans buying the belt just because they're fans and showing up that. I mean, you think about how many people bring wrestling belts to wrestling shows. It would not surprise me to see that kind of thing happening with wrestling belts at football games in the future.
I mean, whoever wins the Super Bowl this year, this will be the first Super Bowl with these belts being a thing. I mean, imagine the team always has a parade. Imagine that team having a parade, and Roman Reigns or John Cena or Triple H or all three show up and present the team, every member of the team, with their own custom belt with these are things that, and then that'll grab ESPN, that'll grab all the top outlets that day. I mean, it's a marketing slam dunk.
I mean, and how easy would it be for them on those, like the early shows that ESPN does or whatever, where they're making the picks on who's going to win, and they'll have the little fabric covering the belt, and like, who did you pick? I'm going with the Jaguars, and it's the Jaguar belt or whatever. I say the Jaguars because, of course, that's going to be the intro. I don't know if they have the Jaguar belt up. I assume they do, but
so interesting enough, they had a Jaguars belt, and then after a few hours after the announcement, the belt all of a sudden was not there. Supposedly, it's because the belt is out of stock already because it was bought and sold out. But obviously, others would believe a different story. So I don't. Maybe Tony Khan bought up all the Jacksonville Jaguar title belts. I don't know.
which would be
You never know.
which would actually be the dumbest move because they're still selling out. I don't care if I'm selling like shirts and someone buys them all and throws them away. I don't care. I still made all the money. That's
right. And they're going to make more. And what are you going to do? Buy up the rest?
Yeah. I can print them as fast as you can buy them, baby.
There you go.
But
we can cash your checks as soon as you write them. As fast as you can write.
Well, we do got a little bit of sad news before we get to the show. A few more details on the passing of Bray Wyatt. It turns out that it looks like he suffered a heart attack during his sleep on Thursday while taking an afternoon nap. Apparently, there's a defibrillator he typically wears and was not wearing. Whatever the case is, just very, very sad. Now, you guys didn't have a chance to really speak on this. I don't know if you guys had anything you want to add. Jimmy, I'll let you go first. Any thoughts on Bray Wyatt and anything you want to share?
No, just an incredible loss, and it gone. You talk about far too soon. Someone gone far too soon. That's the epitome of it with someone like a Bray Wyatt, and knowing his father very well. That I can only imagine what he's going through right now. And it's just a tragic loss. And we can talk about his in-ring persona and his creativity, which has been discussed by many people. But the sad thing is, you never know when something tragic can happen. So always be kind to the people, to everyone, but especially your friends and family.
Yeah, Justin, definitely something that I've tried to be better about lately is getting pictures with people and things like that, because you never know. Very, very sad news about Bray, and in the wrestling world, obviously Terry Funk and even Bob Barker. Rough week for pro wrestling. Just any thoughts or anything you want to add about Bray Wyatt?
Yeah, no, it's obviously it's a tragedy. You feel for his wife and his kids. It hit me extra hard just on the sobering. When we say gone too soon, he and I were born the same year. We were both born in 1987. So that's a smack in the face. No, it's so crazy because I've always said, I always felt like for as creative and as good and entertaining as Bray Wyatt's been, especially post original Wyatt family, I always felt like we never saw full potential. It was one thing or another. He in 2017, in that fall 2017, he was going to portray. It looked like he was going to portray Sister Abigail up against Finn. And then he actually had a medical issue that came up there, him and several superstars, and they called an audible. I remember I was at that WWE TLC show in Minneapolis, and then doing stuff with the Fiend and Firefly Funhouse. Pandemic hits, a whole lot of roster cuts happened. He was one of them. But all in all while it happened, it's there's always tomorrow, or maybe he pops up in AEW, or maybe WWE re-signs him again. You always felt like, oh, it's cut short, but there's always tomorrow. And then he comes back last year, phenomenal return last fall at Extreme Rules. Seeing Uncle Howdy, seeing all this stuff, and then, at the start of this year, all of a sudden he disappears, and we were told he's dealing with something. And again, it's all right, well, it sucks, but there's always tomorrow. They'll bring him back. And it's a crush. This is all obviously from a fan standpoint of the characters. I'm not talking about obviously the man we've lost. From a fan, it's there is no more tomorrow. We got what we got. The video tributes are tremendous that they've been doing, but it's a terrible situation. It really is.
You got it, like you said, Justin. You have to give the WWE credit for those video tributes because they were phenomenal, both for Bray and for Terry Funk, and
And if I may, I do want to acknowledge this. I know we spent a lot of time here critiquing AEW and Tony Khan, but I do want to say, and I believe it because I trust Sean Ross Sapp. Sean Ross Sapp tweeted earlier this evening that Tony Khan told all AEW talents, anybody who wants to have a night off this Wednesday can miss Dynamite to attend the Bray Wyatt services, which I think that's a very classy move to do. Obviously, Bray Wyatt never worked for Tony Khan, but that's a very classy move, knowing that many in his company probably did know Bray or know somebody in Bray's family. So that is a very classy move to do while you are dealing with all other things you're dealing with in the AEW world. To do that, I thought again, classy move to do.
Very classy move, especially on a week where it's going to be hard to not have all hands on deck because you got to build to a show in 1 week. But still, I think the right thing to do, a cool thing to do. And for anyone who I said this before, so I won't go too far into it, but anyone who feels sad watching this, I always say with wrestlers, even if you didn't know them, they're people we let into our lives every single week, and we root for them, we cheer for them, and we follow them, even if it's a character, along on a journey. And so when we lose someone like that, it feels like we do lose a little bit of ourselves or someone that we know. And so if it's bumming you out, I think it's okay. Don't feel bad that a person on TV passing away makes you feel sad. That's totally fine. And I think that's totally normal, and it's okay to grieve. That said, we're going to pick things up. We're going to get things moving. We're going to have a fun time chatting about Raw tonight. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You guys know the drill. Of course, everyone in the chat, if you're a lurker, shout out to the lurkers, but also a new name, Cream Dream Supreme, coming through. Beer Money, Huffman Elite Trading, Sergio, HJZ, Nelly Belly, Adam Staples, Ricky, Brian. We got Max. We got Killer of Demons, and Sorta Rican was, by the way, one of my favorite names in the chat right now. Sorta Rican, you're the one that I think is one of my favorites. Tut Graff and Ethan Cruz and everyone else, thanks so much for joining us. Burning DC as well. And George, let's get into the show. This was a very, I have thoughts on this week's episode. Sami Zayn and Damian Priest to start things off. The match is because Damian Priest was upset about last week's main event. JD McDonough helps Priest get the win, but Priest is unhappy about it. So KO and Zayn beat up JD afterwards. Jimmy, this show felt like it started weird. Was that just me? Like, it felt like they weren't ready or something. Like, it was kind of quiet at first, and then the music started, and then was it just me, or did you get that too? Like, something felt off about this episode.
I don't know if it felt off. It just, we're so accustomed, especially after, we saw the tribute pictures to the memories of Terry and Bray. It was almost like they wanted to have that pause and let people take it in, as opposed to going straight into the Sami music. And when the Sami music hit, obviously things picked up. And the one thing with WWE is we're so used to them starting off with a promo seg and that sort of thing, having the show start off the way it did with a match. I know, it kind of throws people off a little bit, I guess, nowadays, anyways, because it's almost like Wednesday nights you expect Orange Cassidy to start off the show every Wednesday night, kind of thing. You expect a promo segment to start off the show, but having this match start off, and I thought it was a good match, and it told a nice little story at the end there too.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a story. Sami Zayn gets the win. Priest takes a loss, though, Justin. I know you're not happy about that, but there was no.
Priest got the win.
Priest got the win. Never mind. Priest got the win. Sami Zayn took the loss, but he was unhappy about JD. That's what I was thinking of. I like that what they did with this is they talked about why they're having the match. I think that's something that otherwise this would feel sort of like, okay, I guess they're having a match. But I like that they, as little as it is, said, well, last week Priest wasn't happy, so he wants this one-on-one match. Justin, any thoughts about the way this episode started?
Well, the start is a little odd because they're showing the in memoriam, and look, the last few times that an active member, or a member of the active roster has passed away, they usually just swipe. They usually kind of just sideswipe storylines, and they just go full on a tribute show. They did not, they pay tribute on Friday but they still had some matches. They still tried to have some storyline, like LA Knight, obviously, again, on SmackDown, if you saw it, cut a promo to remember Bray, and then he was Bray's last match in WWE, but he still transitioned into selling his feud with The Miz, and then same with tonight. So it's kind of like they tried to walk a balance of like paying tribute, but still do some storyline. So that can be jostling to the emotions, and from a production standpoint, you need to be respectful of like let a slow fade to black, let a pause. You don't want to. So I think that might have played into what you're feeling. But yeah, overall, this opening match, good. You're not going to get a bad match between Zayn and Priest. It did make sense that they're going to have it. It makes sense from what we saw. It made sense because we're going to have a tag match coming up here for the titles this Saturday here in Pittsburgh at Payback. And I will say this: I'm glad that Payback's coming this Saturday. I'm glad that Rhea Ripley gave the kind of the ultimatum that she does later in the night, because I am starting to feel like, all right, I've seen this soap opera episode before. This whole JD and like we need to we need to get to the next stage. We need to make something happen. All right, it's that time where we've filled enough segments. It's time for the next turn, the next corner. Yeah,
Jimmy, that's what I was going to say. Is later on in the night, of course, Rhea Ripley says basically where you guys figure it out, or we're making some changes. What was interesting here, though, is she said everyone leaves with gold, or we're making some changes, and then Damian Priest holds up the Money in the Bank. There is a scenario where everyone but Finn leaves with gold.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. There's so many, options that you can, and so many directions you can take here. I like that. I like that logic. I like that thinking, but I also like the fact that it seems like Rhea is the one taking over the Judgment Day group. It seems like she's the one in charge right now. And it's coming off really well for her. She's really excelling in this role of trying to play peacemaker in the group, but also taking charge.
Well, Justin, I see you holding up the pen there. You have an idea.
The pen's for you, my friend.
Oh,
you're right.
Really?
No, you're right. You're right. She basically gave the ultimatum and said, we either get course corrected and we walk out with gold, or basically somebody's going to be out of Judgment Day. And you're right. Priest, and I think that'd be a great opener. First off, for the show is to have the Priest Finn tag match, Steel City Street Fight versus KO and Sammy. Priest and Finn come up short. Looks like they're both now not gonna have gold, but he still got that briefcase. I mean, the we'll talk about it later, of course, but the Seth versus Nakamura match certainly has picked up some steam these last few weeks. I still don't think I buy in of Seth losing that title straight up to Shin, but man, if he would have fought Shinsuke Nakamura standing tall, and all of a sudden here comes Priest. And now we do go to Monday, and everybody does have gold except for Finn.
Throwing another curveball into that too, with just the pencil. So what if they do fail in their attempt to win the tag team titles, and like you said, Priest attempts to cash in his Money in the Bank, and Finn goes, "I'm not going to be the only one sitting here without a championship," and he costs him the Money in the Bank cash in.
Well, now a nuclear bomb's just going off in Judgment Day at that point.
Yeah. Yes.
What I love about this situation is because I also want to jump to, we get a hype video from Raquel Rodriguez, who then, when Rhea Ripley's cutting her promo, Raquel comes out and basically stuns and shocks Rhea Ripley, per Michael Cole. What if, this is the other side of things, Justin, what if Finn and Damian Priest win the tag team titles, but it's Rhea Ripley who leaves without gold?
That would be a scenario as well. I think less likely, because I just are we talking about are we just going to talk about that segment now with Raquel and Rhea?
We'll just combine them.
And I'm a Raquel fan, and I've sang her praises. I liked, again, stature wise, she can stand face to face with Rhea. She has certain qualities to me that I'm like, oh, this could be a baby face that they could build around, but not quite yet. And especially tonight, I don't know if it's just because the Memphis crowd at this point in the third hour was kind of tired or what. They were kind of flat with her offense. Yeah, they reacted when Rhea came out. They of course react to her and Dom as they do, but when Raquel came out with the babyface offense, they weren't doing much. So I just don't buy into them. Rhea's so hot. I mean, Rhea is hotter than most of the male superstars right now. I just don't see them on, and I'm very excited for Payback, but it is not one of their top big four premium live events. I just don't see them having her drop the title to Raquel. So that's just that. But I agree. It's a scenario. If I think if things were in a different position, that would be a great scenario to explore. But I just don't see it right now. It was kind of actually disappointed the crowd was not as behind Raquel as I hope. I don't know if it's because they're not behind Raquel. I don't know if it's because they don't care, or if it's because Rhea is just so damn entertaining that people are just kind of, again, they're cheering her, they're booing Dom. If it's just kind of that mixture that we're starting to get, where they love her, but they just can't stand the little twerp that she's got her arm around.
Yeah, Kier Kemp says the Rhea pop was crazy. I was there. Who got some of the biggest pops of the night there? Kier, let us know. But yeah, I wonder if it is. And Jimmy, I'd love your thoughts on the Raquel situation. I wonder if it's because she hasn't had matches really. Like I think visually we get it, character we get it. Like she is that person, but we haven't really seen her earn it at this point. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. We're on the other side. We've seen Rhea dominate people in the ring, dominate her opponents lately. And Raquel almost feels like she had to finagle her way into this match and also playing the ruse of coming out there with the crutch and seemingly not being cleared. But then, hey, guess what? I am cleared. That kind of thing. It's almost, I don't want to say it was almost lie, cheat, and steal, but it didn't work. Let's put it that way.
Jimmy, I think you're on to it. I think that's what it is. Raquel hasn't had like this gauntlet of a singles run to get her way to Rhea. Raquel was in a tag team basically, right? So it kind of feels a little bit, just kind of last minute audible calling. Cheap plug, I will be releasing later this week. Check out my socials and elsewhere. I will have a brand new interview conversation with Rhea Ripley.
Ooh.
I can't wait for that one. That's going to be a good one. Everyone make sure to follow Justin LaBar. I say that. You guys got like 50 times as many followers as I do. But yeah, follow them. Why don't you? But the Judgment Day, very interesting overall where things could go. I think Dom is the only one who's safe from losing the title at Payback for now. We'll see.
For now.
But Justin, I do want to get your thoughts. Tag team match. I want to jump back to the tag team match real quick. Steel City street fight. You're going to be there? Are you going to get involved? What can we expect from a Steel City street fight?
Hey, I'll be sitting ringside, so you never know.
Which side are we going to see you?
I'll be. If you're looking at the ring, like if you're watching at home, I'll be to the left or right about at the corner, where the entranceway and
where the stairs are.
Usually the stairs are at the end of the aisle. The stairs are usually to the left. I'm going to be, if you go to the end of the aisle as a talent, you'll go to the right. You'll go past me. So if you go to the right, if you go to the right towards the hard camera, I'll be at the corner there.
Got you guys.
I can't wait to see you reach out to try to get a high five from Damian Priest and have him do the Scott Hall dodge move.
He would do me like that. I think that tag match should kick the show off. I think that'd be a great way to start the show.
Absolutely.
I know it's all the same thing, but I love when they give them these names for city, like special cities, like Steel City Street Fight. For some reason, if you just called it a hardcore match, I'd be like, but I'm like, Steel City Street Fight? Hell yeah, let's do this. This is awesome.
It's such a gimmick. It really is, whatever. It's fun. It's a Saturday night. I'm just happy it's a Saturday night. It's a long weekend. I'm just happy that I got family coming in. I'm taking to the show. I'm just looking forward to that.
So we get a few Matt Riddle and Drew McIntyre moments. McRiddle, first off, Akira Tozawa is giving Drew McIntyre some really good career advice, I'm sure, saying Akira is ready or something along those lines. But eventually Matt Riddle shows up and they have a miscommunication about their future tag team gear. They go to sit ringside by the New Day, or by the commentary is New Day has a match with the Viking Raiders. It's a long one, but eventually breaks down with Drew McIntyre taking out everybody. Viking Raiders get the win. And then later on, we find out Woods is hurt, but they're all good. And next week, it's going to be McRiddle against the Viking Raiders. A lot of stuff here, Jimmy, happened, but we're starting to see that this team of McRiddle and Drew McIntyre is becoming a bit more concrete.
It seems to be. It seems to be that Drew McIntyre is slowly getting on board. He wants to be in charge, but at the same time, I think he's going to have some fun with this from a personal standpoint. Yes, obviously on screen we're going to have maybe a little dissension here and there because of the different characters we got. But at the same time, you got Matt Riddle, who's a legit MMA fighter and that sort of thing. And Drew McIntyre is just a beast. But at the same time, character wise, you've got Matt Riddle, we know where we're going with this, but at the same, and then Drew is starting to show a different side of him. He's starting to show a little bit of a softer side and getting to like. It seems like he's getting to like Matt more, which is like could turn into a lot of fun.
Well, Justin, something that stood out with this to me was we got a little bit of an angry Drew McIntyre at the end of this one, throwing chairs and taking people out. What's the over-under if you're a betting man on Drew McIntyre eventually hitting Matt Riddle with a Claymore?
Oh, eventually, but not yet. Too early, way too early. But yeah, but I think, I think that that's okay. I think you need to find some. You need to define, like Riddle. We all loved RK Bro and that oddball pairing. If you're going to try to do the same thing here with Drew, I think you need to have a definition of like, okay, Drew can be the Scottish hothead that gets and then leave it to Riddle to be bro, to calm him down. We're going to need some kind of dynamic at play to make this work. If this is going to be something they're going to run with here for any bit of time, which it seems like they are, because they've given it considerable TV investment time over the recent weeks. So I'm here for it. I'll see what happens. I personally, I'd like to let this happen for a little bit, and I'd love to see Randy Orton, if he can, resurface and a bro in the middle. Forget monkey in the middle, a bro in the middle.
There you go.
What about and Justin, I'll throw this one back to you. The New Day. You think they're just out of this, or are they going to want some? I'm going to say it, retribution.
I don't know what to make of New Day. I guess New Day being Kofi and Xavier for right now. I don't know. I actually made a note to myself here for the show. I actually said I want to see more New Day. They're in about a match every episode right now for Raw since they kind of surprisingly returned. But I feel like they have so much equity with the WWE audience. I feel like we should be doing more with the New Day. They feel like kind of just bit players right now, and I don't know if that's because they have fewer days in their future. The most of the days are behind them, so I don't know if it's a case of we need to like get Viking Raiders over. We need to get I don't know if it's that, but I kind of feel like the New Day is over, and every town they go to, people pop. They know all the chants, they know the music, they know, and even if it's just two of them and not the charisma that is Big E. So I feel like we should be doing more with New Day to offer up some rubs and some, but it's not being done. So I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if there's I don't know if one of them's hurt or not working 100%. I'm not sure, but I feel like if I got the New Day on my roster, I'll be doing more with them. I feel like they're kind of in and out right now.
Right.
It's especially because they're at like legend status now, where even if they do nothing, you're like, oh, cool, I get to see the New Day because they're, they're Hall of Famers. I mean, that group started in late 2014, and again, we're almost at a decade. That is an eternity in today's WWE, where you have 5 hours of programming every week. So the fact that they've stuck together, never turned, they've been the best faces on the roster, they've been the best heels on the roster.
And great ambassadors too for the brand, for the company as well. Sorry to cut you off there, Justin, but it just is. You're right. These guys right now, like you said, Hall of Fame careers. It doesn't matter. Losing right now doesn't hurt them because the people still are behind them.
Right.
Like with some talents right now, you don't want to risk them, losing a match and gaining losing momentum. With the New Day, they never seem to lose momentum right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, put them on TV more. I mean, why don't you? It's like a slam dunk. Someone who also has been a slam dunk lately, Ludwig Kaiser, has a match with Chad Gable. First off, Gunther starts his weekly announce table address to the WWE Universe, which is one of my favorite things now. Gable shooshes him, and then we get a long matchup that's eventually broken up by Vinci when he realizes that Kaiser's going to lose. And then we get some back and forth before eventually Gunther powerbombs Gable. Jimmy, this is two wrestlers I love. Great matchup. Gave them time. I'm going to be honest, I'm frustrated that we watched this much of a match just for someone to run in and end it in a DQ.
No, I see. I get that. I really do. Back in the day, this would have worked, to get your audience pissed off. Today's audience is a little bit different. They're a little more invested, and they don't want to see DQ finishes and that sort of thing. It doesn't work like it did. Let's put it that way, with the majority of the audience. But there are still some who buy into the thing and get upset by it for the right reasons, as opposed to getting upset by it for the I don't want to say wrong reasons, but get upset for it for the reasons you don't want them to be upset for.
Right.
If you get my drift.
No, I get what you're saying, but yeah, I feel like, I know you hate roll-ups, but I feel like if Gable's going to get a win, you might as well just let him get a roll-up. But Justin, I see you shaking your head.
I hate it. I love Gunther's. I love the promo, like you said, on the announce desk. I was selfishly a little disappointed we're not going to see him versus Gable at Payback this Saturday. But okay, maybe it's going to main event the Raw next week, and why not? Because they basically, as Michael Cole said, they're 11 days away from, as of Monday, 11 days away of him breaking Honky Tonk Man's record. So basically, if he can get through this Raw, he's essentially crossed the finish line. So that's a great gimmick to build a Monday Night Raw around. All that's great. And then Kaiser having a competitive match against Gable, fine. Kaiser had some great selling spots too, by the way, some spots that other guys might just gloss over, but he sold them. It was everything was going really well. Why the frick can't you let Gable just get the win? You're setting him up to be you are setting him up to be the final obstacle for Gunther to have to. I don't know if it's Gunther or Gunther. My German goes back and forth. You're setting him up as a final obstacle for him to have to get past to cross this finish line to be in the record books as the longest IC champ ever.
Yeah,
and his challenger can't even beat your henchman. We have to have I don't agree with it. Don't agree with it at all. Might have been my biggest in my opinion, Monday morning quarterback booking mistake of the show.
Yeah, I agree, especially because I love Kaiser. I think they've got a star on their hands with him, but he's not at a place where him taking a clean loss is going to impact him in any way. Especially
when Gable has Otis out there. So get Kaiser in peril. Let Vinci, because Gunther removed himself, so it was just Vinci out there. So let Vinci go to try to use the numbers game, and then Otis cuts him off and cancels him out. Like, it's not that difficult. I don't understand.
Overthinking.
Overthinking. Yeah, it is. So that was disappointing again. And if it was going to end this way, and it was only like a 5-minute match, I'd be like, whatever. But because this one was it's
a good match and long.
No, it was a good match, given time.
Yeah. So those kind of endings always just make me go, man, you could have just done this if that was the result we were going to get. But it is what it is. It was a fun contest. Again, I think both those guys are stars, so good they got time. We got Seth Rollins comes out, and he's saying to Shinsuke, don't sing it, bring it. And he wants him to come out and talk to him. But Shinsuke has another awesome video where he's talking about making it so Seth can't walk his daughter down the aisle at her wedding. And then Seth Rollins like, where's the Shinsuke that main event at the Tokyo Dome? And that Shinsuke, I guess, showed up because he knocked out Seth Rollins in the middle of the ring. For as disappointed as I was at the end of the last segment, Justin, I really liked this one.
I mean, what in the name of Lord Tensai is going on here? We have finally cracked the code of how to present Shinsuke Nakamura on the main roster as a threat, as a heel, as a threat. I mean, the video package last week of him explaining, and I know it, fine with him speaking Japanese and having the subtitles and translation. And then tonight, the B-roll of him doing the martial arts and what he's saying. And then the attack they actually give Seth in the ring. I mean, he's coming off as both an interesting presentation and package and as a credible threat. As a betting man, I'm not betting any money that he's going to take this title. As I said, if anything, I think that we could have some money in the bank shenanigans. But that being said, I am not mad about this match. I'm ready to see Shinsuke Nakamura have his entrance and have his showing in the ring with Seth. And I think that they've done as good of a job as you can to make Shinsuke all of a sudden appear to be this dangerous threat and making it personal and his back and your family. Where has this been? This is long overdue. I'm glad they found it.
Yeah, and Jimmy, to that point, I agree with Justin. I don't think that Shinsuke is winning, but one, it's good enough for me to be interested in the match. And two, what I love about this is after this match, Shinsuke feels like a top tier villain to whoever the next good guy is he's going to cross paths with.
Absolutely. He is, regardless of whether he wins the title or not, he will be elevated after this match. And that's the beauty of someone like a Seth Rollins, especially now. I know this is a little off topic, seeing Seth being the more serious Seth, having Shinsuke bringing that out in him instead of the more comedic, the more fun side. Having Shinsuke bring that out means a lot.
And shout out to Seth if you saw on the right side of the title belt where they do the different plates, the custom plates on the title belt. His one plate was the Fiend.
That's cool to see.
And of course, Seth had a very famous and controversial run with the Fiend character.
Yes, controversial to say the least, but it's cool to see tributes like that. It's cool to see. I mean, it's an unfortunate situation, but it's cool to see tributes across all wrestling companies and people paying tribute to guys like Bray and Terry Funk and everyone else. But yeah, this one will be a good. I have a feeling Shinsuke and Seth will be one of those ones that we all know that Seth is winning, but might be a show stealer at Payback at the end of the day.
The potential is definitely there.
Bronson Reed and Tommaso Ciampa have a matchup. Reed attacks Ciampa from behind while they are walking out. Then we get the matchup, and Justin, I feel like this one ended kind of weird and abruptly. I'm kind of bummed out about Bronson Reed taking the L here too. This was a segment I wasn't super fond of, to be honest.
I don't get it either. This is next in line after. Excuse me, next in line after Gable losing. Why is Bronson losing here? He's a heel. Let him find a heel means to beat if you're worried about him beating Ciampa clean. And they have Tommaso's putting up posters looking for Johnny Gargano, kind of teasing that he needs Johnny and they're going to reform a tag team. Well, that makes no sense then if he finds a win here. If he's, I don't know. This is another one that didn't make any sense to me. So don't know what the plan is, but did make sense.
Yeah, and I don't. Maybe it was just me, Jimmy, but it felt like it got rushed at the end. Like it felt like I don't know. It looked like to me like they got a notice like, hey, you need to hurry up and wrap this up.
Time to go. Someone with a pencil in the mouth, that ringside going, that sort of thing. But no, it did feel that way, and I agree. I agree also that from a story standpoint, someone like a Bronson Reed needs a win. It needs a very good win to elevate his character. Right now, people are saying, "Oh yeah, he's pretty good for a big guy and he can do some stuff." But yeah, who do you ever beat? That kind of thing. And when the crowd starts thinking like that, the audience starts thinking that, then you got some work to do to gain that fiery momentum back. Because this guy has the potential to be one heck of a heel. And
because Bronson those guys that needs to win. Like some wrestlers, I always say, some wrestlers need wins, some don't need wins. And Bronson, like Otis, doesn't need wins. He can be a big round powerhouse and doesn't need wins. But Bronson Reed needs wins. And it's okay to lose, but I feel like and Ciampa needs to win, but I don't think these two needed to be in the same ring together. You could have mixed up matches and had it work out better, because I feel like Bronson Reed was getting over too. Something that Justin, you say all the time is, and he crawls up to the top rope, people stand up. Like you could tell that it was working, but now I feel like so much momentum just got sucked out of him from this one. But again, I mean, and now I don't think he has a match on Payback, which also doesn't bode well for him, but hopefully it's just a short-term thing.
Hopefully. I mean, I don't know. I praise Triple H a lot, so I'll be as equal to say here. I know Triple H has always liked Ciampa, and I'm not saying this, I'm not questioning like what's to like about Ciampa, but I wonder, is this where you get into like, oh, all right, can we try to like get Ciampa some wins and some, like I wonder, like, are you, I don't know. I question the booking decision. I think Bronson Reed should have been should have gone over here. But
yeah, and I would say if this was like at Payback and they had a big match and somehow Ciampa got one over, I'd feel different than it being a kind of throwaway near the end of the show quick match that he loses clean. But we get to the end of the show, and Becky Lynch, Zoe Stark, Falls Count Anywhere. We get a couple of promos backstage before this one. Tiffany Stratton is at ringside. We get Trish throwing a chair at Zoe on accident, which unfortunately might be my favorite moment of the night. But Jimmy, I'm always very critical of Becky Lynch, but I gotta say, this match rocked. I felt like this felt like a PLE match, the way they did this. It was fun. Lots of stuff happened. Big finale. I loved it.
No, these women all worked hard. All three of them worked hard in this match to get this angle over, to get this story over. And you talk about using weapons. Those shots with the kendo sticks, I was like, ugh, I was cringing. It was a lot of what was going on in there. And I give the women a lot of credit for really putting their bodies on the line for this one, to help tell that story, to go into this. Like you said, PLE, this was PLE quality, but I'm glad they got the opportunity to have this as the main event of Raw.
Yeah,
going into the pay-per-view, that means a lot. And it shows how much the office thinks of them to put them in that position.
And then and Beer Money and Justin, you reminded me, I skipped The Miz on accident. We'll talk about The Miz right after this. I was moving notes around. It got buried, you guys. I'm sorry. But we will talk about that in just a second. But since we're already talking about the main event, Justin, like I said, I loved this one. I'm the first to be critical of Becky Lynch, but I thought she absolutely nailed this.
No, I think Becky worked her ass off, as did Zoe. Again, I hate to sound like on repeat. People have no problem booing Zoe because she's the lesser known compared to Trish. Where I say I don't know if people want to boo Trish. So I thought this was good tonight to get some heat for Zoe. Becky's pulling out the tables, big pop there. The big finish and the spots, when the tables are good, I cringed a little bit because I thought as ladies are going through the tables, I just was worried about their heads, how their heads were going through. Mm-hmm. Hopefully everybody's okay. So yeah, I thought it was a good attempt for the main event. I'm still going into this Saturday for this cage match between Trish and Becky. They still need to. They need to sell me on it. And again, I don't know if I'm stuck on Trish as a heel. I don't know. I want to see what they do, but I thought tonight was at least a good attempt of, okay, let's give them a main event spot. And let's try. And so we'll see. I certainly, all ladies involved worked their ass off. And again, the spots were risky. So, hope they're all okay, but we'll see. Ironically, the thing that we are going to talk about last here in a second is probably, I think, maybe the biggest talking point, because I think it's what organically has the audience maybe the most buzz about, really. So
yeah. Well, let's so I have my notes, but I realized I had the Drew McIntyre Riddle segment separated by the Miz thing. It's like, I'll just bump them together, but then I forgot to go back and get the Miz. So my bad there, everybody. Sorry. But the Miz comes out, and Justin, since you reminded me in the private chat, thank you so much.
You're pulling back the curtain. Stop this.
Welcome back to Gorilla.
There's no private chat here.
Kayfabe, brother.
There's no private chat here. I put my pen in my mouth.
I gotta say, was this the single greatest promo the Miz has ever cut? Yeah.
Well, the Miz has a long catalog of promos, but I'll say this. There was something, an irony that was great about this, right? Because the Miz's whole thing is he calls LA Knight this Attitude Era ripoff, calls him, light version of Austin and Rock and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And these type of promos were popular in the Attitude Era, to do a SNL type over-the-top impersonation of your opponent. And it extended beyond the Attitude Era. I'll say this. Here's the best compliment I can give LA Knight. The Miz did this promo tonight, trolled the entire audience. Music hit. People went crazy. Wade Barrett popped like crazy. Miz was dressed perfectly. As he first walks out, you think it's LA Knight until you get the close-up. The last time, here's the compliment. The last time the Miz did this with this success as well, with the crowd reaction, the last time he came out, dressed to the nines, to the music, to the whole shebang, The Rock. What a compliment to LA Knight.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Absolutely.
And Jimmy, that's one of those things that when you've been watching wrestling for as long as we have, you got to appreciate that there are these little callbacks that are just awesome on so many levels. And it's funny, I got to say that he was trying to make fun of LA Knight, but I feel like everyone was still into it, but he was doing it. Jimmy, I feel like even when he did The Rock, everyone's like, boo, you're making fun of The Rock. But even with LA Knight, they were still like, yeah, let me talk to you.
Mm-hmm. No, the crowd was loving it. They were really into it. They appreciated what he was doing. I think that's the thing. He got the boos that you wanted him to get, but at the same time, the audience is starting to appreciate, because, people used to look at Miz and go, oh, that tough enough guy and blah, blah, blah. And I read all these stories about him in the locker room causing all this dissension and having to change in the broom closet and all, back in the day and all this sort of stuff. Now they're realizing, and I think they're getting what Miz actually brings to the table. And Miz is a guy who's going to help. Yes, LA Knight is over, but Miz is going to help him get just that much more over. And doing something like this, and we talk about, doing something repetitive from the past, when you do it as infrequently as we've seen, like how long ago was this when Miz did The Rock?
Oh, a decade ago at least.
Yeah. So it's not like we said, oh, we've seen this before. You know what I mean? Enough time has passed. And I think he was on point tonight. He was just awesome.
It was interesting. We didn't get Cody Rhodes or LA Knight tonight. So lacked a lot of, we were missing some big names, but still got us through the show.
And both are advertised for Payback. LA Knight in this match, and they announced Cody Rhodes on the Grayson Waller effect. So it was interesting that they, on this go-home show, two big, heavy punches they did not have tonight.
Right.
Yeah. But Miz and LA Knight going to be great. Very smart with LA Knight, because I keep worrying about when people are going to turn on LA Knight, because you know how it is, us wrestling fans. Like, oh, we love this guy. Wait, you're pushing him? Boo. I don't like him unless I can tell you you're doing something wrong with him. But Biz is one of those guys you're going to cheer for LA Knight beating him. And then I'm sure their next one they have lined up will be someone that will still cheer for him beating him. And then by then he'll be
Baron Corbin's next.
Right.
Perfect. Exactly. The kind of person that he can have a rivalry with that will go, but I want him to beat him, instead of having him go straight for like a Cody Rhodes where we're like, oh, boo. He's forced.
LA Knight, Baron Corbin, LA Knight cuts a promo and, oh, but you failed at football. Welcome to pro wrestling.
Right. Yeah. Right. So very smart what they're doing with him. But that does it for this week's show. Before we go, of course, everyone make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Jimmy, overall thoughts, and where can the world find you online?
I thought it was okay. Furthering storylines, getting people a little interested for what's going to happen this weekend at the PLE in Justin's hometown there in the Steel City. And I'm interested in seeing what's going on. And like you said, not having really Cody there and stuff, but that still kept me interested. Let's put it that way. And as far as where you can find me this week, you'll find me the rest of the week doing my ref and rants on all my social media platforms from Monday to Friday. Again, critiquing, not to tear down, but to help tighten screws that I believe need tightening. And you can catch me here on Wednesday, post AEW Dynamite. And then after that, taking a little break. We'll talk about that on Wednesday.
Yep. And Justin, oh, by the way, Kier, you said we got a super chat here saying Cody Crossroads Dom. Was that something that happened after the show went off the air? Did he come out and hit Dom with the Crossroads? Or are you predicting that for Payback? Justin, Mr. Steel City himself, getting ready for that street fight. Whose side will he help? I think you're a Judgment Day guy. Tell us where can we find you online? Where can we find that Rhea Ripley interview? And what did you think of the show?
Well, first off, Cody Rhodes, Grayson Waller effect at Payback. Maybe this is where we find out who Cody's next feud is going to be. Perhaps somebody interrupts him there and we get that. At Justin LaBar on the socials. I will not be here Wednesday. Rhea Ripley interview I will start to put on the socials and at triblive.com this Thursday. So check that out. we'll be at Payback Saturday. I will not be on any podcast, but perhaps, but again, follow my social. I'm sure I'll have some tweets and videos. Maybe I'll even find myself around a microphone with Triple H in the press conference. Who knows? Follow me at all times. You never know what I could get myself into or where I could, what yellow tape I could pass by. But follow at Justin LaBar. It's going to be a fun week. Rhea Ripley interview, going to be good. I'm going to miss Jimmy on Wednesday. So Jimmy, enjoy your time off. Well deserved.
Thank you.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to this week. And then, oh, by the way, I'm sure we'll have 15 more CM Punk updates between now and then. So there's going to be plenty to talk about and tweet about as the week goes on.
Yeah, make sure to check out, just follow the news stories here at Wrestling Inc. because there's probably going to be a million things about, I don't know, CM Punk stole Tony Khan's jet and is flying it around. I don't know what he's doing, but yeah, that does it for us. You can find me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. Thank you again to everyone in the chat. MDB999, Ricky Zaldivar, Adam Staples, Dream Realm, Beer Money, Jason, and everyone else, Kier as well. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure to check out at Wrestling Inc. throughout the week and check out the NXT after show right here tomorrow after NXT.